Hello, everybody. How you doing today? I'm Lee Cole, and I'm here with James Proctor, my friend and my partner. And James, how you doing today?
Hey, doing really well, Lee. I hope you had a great Christmas.
I had a very good one, thank you. And it was I went to see Iron Claw yesterday, and that's the wrestling movie about the Von
Yeah,
Erich family. Very sad movie. I gave my review on it, and I put it on the wrestling channel underneath this video. When we're done, you'll be able to hit that and go over there and check it out.
very
And
good.
okay, and so we got some things lined up in the future, but uh, yesterday there was a show done by Mikey Scars and RJ Roger.
Hmm.
It was I thought it was the best show they ever did. Um, when you could sit down and watch a show and enjoy it all the way through, we're going to break it up a little bit. We're going to put it up. We're going to show a couple minutes of it, not too much,
Hmm.
and we're going to give our opinion on it. And James, have you seen any of this video?
No, yesterday I was busy with family and everything, and so I got notified of it, but never didn't get a chance to watch it.
So this is the first time you're seeing this. So, and
Yes.
that's what I want. And I purposely told you I want a fresh perspective from you
Yeah.
on what he's saying and what they're both saying.
Sure.
And when I tell you that I thought it was the best show I've seen them do, uh, are you surprised by that?
Well, yeah, because they've done some great stuff in the past, and so that's that's pretty amazing if it's the best show. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
And so underneath this video, we're going to have Mikey Scar's channel. Please click to it. We are using his video right now.
Hmm.
RJ at one told us that we could use. He doesn't want us to use a lot of it, but other stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming this is okay. RJ, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's like you said, we got to work together. So let me put this up. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start right from here. I'll stop it, and then I'll move on to the next section when they're done.
And the
Okay.
other one was you and my son Michael, who had me come on there and speak some sense into me about telling the story the right way and telling the truth. And we welcome any new info. We shut nobody out. Nobody. We have learned stuff that I didn't know on here because I don't watch everything. It's impossible with my life that I have on my side. My personal life, and then this and other things I do in business. It's really hard, but I enjoy it. I'm 68. I still got a little pepper in me, so I like.
Okay, what he said right there. One, I'm 63, and I'm a grumpy old fart, and a lot of people tell me that, James. Okay, there's no doubt. You probably think that sometimes, because you're a young fart. You're
No,
younger
I'm
than the
pretty
rest of us.
close though to you.
Yeah, not close enough. Not that I want you closer.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking here about how much stuff have we learned on here that we had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned a lot because he was there. He was actually there with John Gotti, there with Sammy Gravano, there with the even the Columbos and the Gambinos, and so he was there in Bensonhurst. So a lot of the things that we talk about in this mob genre, he was in the middle of it. So he's an expert of it. But what also was interesting to me is that that he was a little humble. He said that he's learned stuff through this past year or two. So for me, that I applaud him for that. I applaud what RJ's doing.
Yeah, and when you talk about this though, people are this is the one thing you always hear that line. Oh, we learned a lot from the informants. That's not true. We don't learn much from most informants,
Hmm.
but we do learn a lot from this informant.
Yes.
A lot of informants come on here and tell you how right they are and how they were wronged and how Sammy Gravano, perfect example. But we never ever heard Michael say that he was wrong or glorify what he did, and that's what separates him from all these other guys. James,
Yeah, and he's also. I find what he's saying credible. People will disagree with him what he did. He, even his family disagreed initially with it. May still do, but the point is that he was credible, even when he was in the even when he was testifying, I mean, he was someone that the prosecutors, the judges, the people in the federal government, they said they believed what he said. Juries believed it. He was very effective in his role as a informant. But how that ties to now is that he has a history of being credible. I've not seen him lie. And also his motivation is, he wants history to be done right, and then I'm sure that it's a little bit of pride as well, because Sammy, said he was just a hang around guy and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's things that he just does not want people to believe.
And that's the worst thing Sammy ever did, was say he was just a hang around guy. Compared to Sammy, he was just a hang around guy. Michael knows that. He was no Sammy Gravano on the street.
Right.
There were very few Sammy Gravanos on the street.
Right.
Guys wanted, back then, guys wanted to have Sammy look up to them. They would do anything Sammy told them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues that Mikey talks about in here. So when you see this, and I say to you that I don't believe Michael has a black heart, but I know for a fact that Sammy Gravano has a black heart. Would you think that's...
No, I agree with you, because, you actually, you were up personal. You were able to look in Sammy's eyes. You were able to see, the thing is, when you're close to someone as you were, you're able to see, does this person have a soul or not? And you learn a lot just from that body language and what you saw when you encountered it, what he said to you, and what he was telling his son to pull you out of the vehicle, those type of things. So you were able to see that. And
just so you know, our video, there's things that we had to do to cut down on the video when we made our short. But I'm going to tell you one thing, that I remember when this attack happened, and I looked right at Sammy as his son backed away. I looked at Sammy, and you could see these eyes that you can't, until you look into the eyes of the devil, you don't know who the devil is. And Sammy Gravano is the devil. But what I remember is you're right. He said to his son, pull him from the car. Here's a 78-year-old man. It seemed like all of a sudden I showed up, and he got excited. He was going to go back into the action of pulling someone from the car. And he couldn't control himself at that point. And that's what happens with people who are maniacs. And Sammy Gravano is a psychopath.
Yes.
Okay, let's go on from here. Okay, next part.
From sponsors and whatever they get these venues from. If we do it, we'd have to go in our pockets. And it's not a big thing. We're not looking for anything, but we're going to try to get something in the UK down the road. It's not a promise. Sponsorships with college or inns, let us know. And RJ will reach out to them and see if they want to hear us. We could do a law lecture. But RJ, yes, the year in which I didn't think would turn out like this was really rewarding. And I know a lot of people out there have the same feeling back of what we did. Joy Faraci and the Merlinos and other families, the Garfolas and other families. I know they're rooting for us to do this. We've heard this.
When he says that, what do you think he means? That what did they? Joy Faraci. I'm sorry. Joy is the sister of Alan Kaiser, was murdered by Sammy. Melito.
Louis Melito. Yeah.
He was his best friend, and he got murdered by Sammy Gravano. And Garofalo, same way. He got murdered by Sammy Gravano too. So what do you think he's trying to say there when he says that we're going to speak out for these people?
Yeah. So what's happened is that, especially when you listen to our thing, or you listen to the stories that Sammy is doing about these people, and he hadn't really, and he's not been upfront about at all on Alan Kaiser, but he did tell the story with lies. But the point is that Louis Melito, that family has had to deal with Sammy, and Sammy's glorifying what he did. He's glorifying that he put that he had Louis killed. He's glorifying. He talks about where he went up to the Louis Melito's casket and basically said, "Why'd you make me do this?" So basically, what's happened is
they never found Louis Melito.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about other victims that, so other victims, I'm sorry. Other victims that Sammy has taken out or had taken out, he would go up to their casket and blame the victim on that. And then Louis Melito, in his case, basically he gave $1,000 or something to Louis Melito's wife, and then he wasn't even and basically after that, nothing else. He didn't, and so he said that she was crazy. He made a lot of negative remarks. So the point is that Sammy, besides going after the ones that have the victims themselves, he's went after victims' families. And so what we see here with Mikey is that he's at least trying to get some level of respect, have the integrity of history, so that even though some of these people were bad guys, that history at least is not, it's sanitized. It's not based on the lies.
It's not Sammy-tized. It's sanitized.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's a new one we can use, Sammy-tized.
Yeah.
% sure. Like, I had a feeling that I told you 80-20. I said, Michael, best case we can hope for is we're going to take some beatings and stuff, but it was like 97. To 3. So actually that's a true statistic from YouTube. So we get a really great feedback. But I could teach everybody the key. So to all the content makers out there, if you want to know the recipe to having a successful year in mob genre, which is hard, stay in your own channel. And mind your own channel. You don't have to comment on other people's channels. You don't have to go visit every other channel and doing appearances all over the place.
Okay.
We'll get sucked into something you don't want to be in. So that's the key. Stick with your partner, and that's it.
No, 100%. And listen, we all have our stories to tell people on here. And
okay, let's get back to what RJ just said. I agree with some of what he said, and I disagree with some of what he said, but he's absolutely right about one thing. The mistake we do make is going on other channels too much. I'm guilty of that. And I've made a commitment that this year I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to deal with my channel, with you, and then we're going to deal with James and I. We also have a Patreon. So that's 2 channels we got together. And then we also, and Angel Gotti. After that, none of the other channels, because it leads to too much controversy.
Yeah.
But as for our show, is built on calling out other channels, our praising channels. That's what our show here is for. We're not mobsters. We can't come here and tell mob stories. So RJ has a little bit easier because he has a real mobster in front of him that could tell a story, which we do not have.
Yeah, this is the mob version of, if you remember in the 90s, when sports talk radio, this to me is the mob version of doing that, where we talk about what's happening in the genre. We talk about the history and everything, but when things happen in the genre, we at least will discuss it, and we never try to force our opinions on anyone, right? So we always try to just put the facts out there, let people make that decision. But at the same time, what we have to do is be entertaining. Entertainment actually is the number one ingredient, unfortunately.
And we've hit 8 million views now since in the last 2 years, 8 million views.
Wow. Just 3 weeks ago, we were at 7 million.
Yes.
Wow.
Last month, we did almost 2 million views in 1 month.
Oh, wow.
And we picked up 2,000 subs. We pick up subs every day now. Our channel gets 20, 30, 40,000 every day without fail now. And that's because we put out stuff that people want to watch. Would you agree with that, James?
Yeah, I mean that's why it has to be is entertainment. For me, I personally like a lot of the deep history. But the reality is that the audience that we have, that's not what they want. They like a lot of the history. I mean, I'm amazed at a lot of our shorts. Where we'll get. Like Gene Gotti, over 100,000 views on that. So, I mean, they like that stuff. But, at the same time, it seems like we get on these type of shows where we get most of our benefits where they tune in to hear our analysis or our thoughts on what's happening.
And last year, if I put up a poll, I would get like maybe 40, 50 people responding to it. If I put up a poll now, I get 2,000. And we I take care of the community page. You're more of the shorts guy. And then we work together on in between on
the videos. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me continue that.
They have a right. And Joey Merlino caught a lot of flack. And I wasn't going to mention any names, but I'll throw his name out there. He has a right to do whatever he wants to do. Nobody has a right to tell him he shouldn't be. We're not in a position to be telling anybody what they shouldn't be doing. We lost that right. So, and I'm not criticizing anybody that says that, but I'm just saying for us, going to what RJ said, we're not down that road.
You see, and this is what separates Mikey Scars from the other informants. He says we don't have the right to go after Joey Merlino.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll have a lot of informants that do go after Joey Merlino.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's something that to me is ironic, and so for people, and that's what's strange about it. The ones that really are going after him are the informants. They're the ones that are saying Joey shouldn't be out there. But what right do they have to say anything about it? And the thing is, one thing about I want to say about Mikey Scars that some people know, some people don't know, that his history in Cosa Nostra goes back over 100 years, meaning his family going all the way back to Sicily, and so the point on that is that he is well grounded. He's from several generations of mafiosos. Sammy Gravano was the first generation. And so the thing is that what you hear with Mikey Scars, he's saying that he lost the right to be able to say anything about these guys because he cooperated and that he lost that right. And he's also said many times that when he cooperated, he turned in his gangster card. But the thing is that he understands the rich history of Cosa Nostra probably better than just about anyone out there.
Okay, so let me go on here.
It's not our business what somebody else does. We're not here to monitor everybody else's product or content they put out. We're here to talk about us, plain and simple. And the things you are interested in hearing from us. Fan base, the people that really care about us, that's a pleasure in life, me spending money. Give me the ability to make it, and I'll have fun spending it on other people.
Yeah. You know how I know though that the easiest way to in this genre to know if you carry credibility is when other people call for you to answer to something. And the most common thing, and we get so many from the commenters, from other content makers, hey, Michael should speak out about this. Michael should do this. Michael should say this. Michael should say that, because you're viewed as 4 million views in, and there's no one ever came here and called us a liar. I don't think there's been the one thing you hear a lot in this genre is people. No one for 4 million views, no one called us a liar about anything. When I like certain things, but you didn't say we lied, and that's important. And so I'll park one person, and maybe I'll even ask you that because I think sometimes people.
Okay, so what do So he's talking about the credibility of their show, which it's obvious they have a lot of credibility. They don't lie. Um, what do you think about that, James?
No, I agree with that. Also, I do agree as you get larger that as your platform grows, that you become more credible in other people's eyes. And I've noticed it with our channel. I don't know, if you've thought about it, but you remember the deal with Merlino and Mikey Michael Francis involving Justin. The one person that Justin came to us looking for resolution. He felt that we could help, and we did what we could. And we have other people that
Explain. Some people don't know what you're talking about right now, so explain that.
yeah,
Justin.
so Justin had reached out to Joey Merlino without Michael's permission and said, "Hey, what do you think about going on Michael's podcast?" And Joey Merlino, responded, pretty negatively about.
That turned into a big. That was that him and the Sunny incident and stuff.
Yeah. But they came to us and to try to get resolution for it. And
Justin came to us.
Justin, yeah, that's what. And so, but we have that also with, I notice it all the time, when people ask us, what's your opinion on certain things? And so we get that all the time now, and then if we don't respond to something, then we start getting questioned. Why aren't you saying anything about this? And so I think that's the expectation as you grow and as you develop a following like we have, that there's those expectations, especially when it's in this genre.
And I think that that's what, and I'm guilty of this, expecting Michael to answer questions, Mikey Scars to answer questions about people we may be. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Say that we're talking about somebody that's in this Anthony Ruggiano.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect day. Well, we feel like he says things that aren't true, and Michael's saying, well, and this is where Michael said, why should by us not answering, by me not answering, is going to give you the answer a lot of times, and he doesn't.
Yes.
Answer, and he doesn't want to get caught up in it. Maybe we do, but he doesn't. So we have to respect that, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and that's something that some of those questions, definitely by him not saying something really speaks volumes on how he feels, and and so that's definitely true. But he's not going to bash anyone, but right now, but Sammy Gravano, and and that's just part of their mission.
Okay, let me get on with
we
this.
don't understand why. We talk privately, so I know what your opinion is on certain things that we don't comment on publicly. But the thing, and maybe I should ask you this: why is it, so you can answer it in your own words? Sammy's the only, because that's always while you talk about Sammy, what makes the Sammy situation different than all the other people? And you get asked to speak out about every single person in this genre, or guys who were formerly in the life, and we're not going to talk about it. Doesn't matter what anybody says, we're never going to do it. When I heard them bash people, bash channels, when I heard them be the police of mob genre, so can you explain what makes the Sammy situation different than everybody else?
Well, look, and they say we speak a lot about Gravano. Hey, by the way, I heard he got too close to that Christmas tree, and it was spontaneous combustion when he was sitting in hell, and the tree went on fire. I don't know if it's true, RJ. It just could be a rumor, it could be a false rumor, but that's where I heard the devil was too. That guy was too close to the tree, and it just went on fire. The Christmas tree didn't want sacrilegious, I guess. I don't know, but anyway. Our lives were so intertwined. Our information, the people that we had coexisted together, we're intertwined. We can't separate a lot of this stuff. Sure, in the 90s, we didn't even get to the 90s really yet. But a lot of the stuff that people really want, we hear it, in the private message and everything, is to speak about that time with John Gotti on. People don't want to hear about Al Capone breaking over wine barrels and beer barrels anymore. That's done. They want to hear about the man, the guy, John Gotti, and his tenure. And his tenure includes scamming. Includes this guy that changed history. Sure, Angelo Ruggiero was one part. But this guy, when he linked up with John after DeCicco died, which was a disaster, turning point in his family. Killing Paul, DeCicco dying, disaster. That was my tenure. That was my time. I wasn't a wise guy before. Yeah, I could tell you some other silly stories before.
And see, this is what people have to understand. You have informants in here, but none of them could say that they were next to Sammy Gravano.
Right.
They were right there in the street with Sammy Gravano. They know him. They know what he was like back then and everything. James?
Yeah, and in fact, he's a one person in this genre. I don't know anyone else that is in the same boat. So he is next to Sammy Gravano. He's next to John Gotti. He's next to John Gotti Jr. He was next to Peter Gotti. He was next to, people in the Colombo family. He knew. And so the thing is that the amount of history, someone like myself that's a mobologist, I just, when I listen to Mikey Scars, it's just fascinating because he was there in the middle of in the history, and he's telling the truth of everything. So the two people that have the most knowledge, I would say, is Mikey, and then also Sammy. But Mikey Scars goes beyond 1990. He goes into the John Gotti Jr. era, the Peter Gotti era. So
and he doesn't have, and Mikey Scars does not have the strength, or he wasn't at the level of Sammy Gravano, where Sammy Gravano has that power to change history. Mikey doesn't have that power because in the 90s you have a lot of informants from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Not so many from the 80s. Not informants that were right next to John Gotti.
Right.
I mean, most of the tenure that Mikey did was with Junior.
Yeah.
Before John went to prison, he spent quite a bit of time with John. Okay, let's go on.
Put out my life and things. But the most important part, when I became important in that life, and I had to say, was post Gravano. But before that, there's so much in those 3 to 4 years when he was linked with John that was and left an indelible mark on Cosa Nostra, because that's all everybody talks about, is how John Gotti ruined the mob. Lie. It's a criminal organization. Things happen in them. People direct that are on the top that abuse power. You can't have people on the top of that position dictate history. After he left and ratted, he tried to change history to make himself look good. I am intertwined in all those stories. We share.
Do you agree with that? That Sammy has literally become the new encyclopedia for the mafia, has changed the mafia, and the only thing between him being believed is Mikey Scars right now?
I believe that 100%. And the reason for that is look at what, if you would have looked back, and we've talked about this, you go back to 1991 and you look at when Gravano ratted. He was known as Sammy the Rat. He was the most despised, hated person. You saw the level of respect during the Gotti trials. All the the celebrities that came in. You saw how people got pissed off when Gotti got convicted. Then you saw one Gotti's funeral, how many people there, and we went over that over and over. But then it was always, when people look back, if you go back to the 90s, they'll say, well, what happened to the mob? Why did this happen? They'll say, well, it was the informants. It was Sammy Gravano. And then it was also Rico, and the stuff that the government was able to put in place tools where these gangsters were more afraid of the government than they were of their own families. And so the point is that Sammy's been able to convince a lot of these Hollywood types, these Netflix documentary folks, that, hey, it was John Gotti that destroyed the mob. And that's just a narrative that Sammy Gravano wants, because he wants, and he's been doubling down on that. He never, even in his book Underboss, he never talked about, or with Diane Sawyer, he never said it. A lot of this stuff about John Gotti.
Exactly.
Had the same friends that he murdered. How could I not speak about it? I know people say you keep talking about Sammy, but it's not all about Sammy. It's a story that needs to be retold. If you want to hear it the right way, I'm here. If you want to counter my story, I'm here. So, I really don't want to talk about Sammy. We did a live the other day. Says, come on, let's move on from Sammy. Let's talk about something else. But a lot of our people want to hear this still. They still want to hear about what happened with Paul and John and Sammy and the rest of the family. I mentioned a guy's name the other day I don't think anybody ever heard of, Mike Catalano. I have plenty of those guys. I wasn't close to them, but I have stories. But Gravano is the mark left. His books, his movies, his interviews, his podcast today, which is enormous. He reaches a lot of people. He reaches a lot of people with nonsense. Does anybody want the fact checkers to do the fact checking? I'll give you an alternative. RJ, give you an alternative. There's other people out there that can do it, but they won't. They're in positions they can't say. So please don't get honest about getting tied up sometimes. See, we talked about Christmas right now. Look where we wind up, right? Because people want to know. And again, it can be redundant at times. But most of the stories they say aren't redundant. They're just about the same guy because he's always in the mix.
That's it. He's always in the mix.
He is.
Sammy puts himself in the mix. And he doesn't stop putting himself in the mix, and he does it purposely. James?
Well, what Sammy's trying to do is he wants to make money off of this. He's wanting to he doesn't know how to build a brand because he doesn't have the right people around him. But he does have 570,000 subscribers. He does have people that listen to him, and he is a known name. And I totally agree with that. But Sammy, he's just looking for himself. He doesn't care about the truth. He just cares about, can this bring me money? And then also he wants to have this legacy of rewriting history. This is his way of vendetta, of having this is vengeance against those that he perceived wronged him. That's what he uses this podcast for.
Do you believe that Sammy Gravano has any remorse, or do you believe Sammy Gravano is as evil today as he's always been?
Sammy Gravano is evil as he's always been. He has no remorse. He will never have any remorse. If he would do murders today if he could. I see no change in that man.
When I went to see him, if I went inside his studio and it was just him and his son, and I confronted him like that, and he had the opportunity to kill me, do you think he would have?
100% he would have.
And that's what people have to understand. That's how bad this man is. And so let's go. Okay, the next part. Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple. I don't want to play the whole video, so I'm going to a couple things he talked about. He also talked about how much John Jr. and John Gotti donated to the community, and they never talked about it, but they donated a lot. And what John Gotti Sr. did once he went to prison, his son took over and did the same thing. Uh, but and there's other mobsters that have done that too. But you do have some people that come from nothing, like John Gotti, that gave back to people that come from nothing.
Yeah,
James?
Bill Cotolo Senior did that, right? With
Yeah.
the leukemia. He's there's others that did that. You have even Chris Colombo was talking about Joe Colombo doing that, and they weren't out there, saying what they did. And so, yeah, I think the thing you got to realize about the mob is that they do care about their neighborhoods. Most of them do, at least the ones that aren't psychopaths. They do care about their neighborhoods, and if they have an opportunity to give back a little, they will, because they know that whatever they give, they'll get that back and more just from what they do in the mob. But yeah, they'll get back a little bit. But I think that doesn't mean that all mobsters that they don't have a soft spot, that they don't have a heart. A lot of them do. It's just that, and they're not going to publicize it. It doesn't make sense for them to.
And before we get to the last part, I want to play one. I'm going to play one short for people that think that Sammy Gravano has any remorse. I'm going to show you absolute evidence that Sammy Gravano has no remorse whatsoever, and that he would still kill a person.
That I had that asshole Lee, the fuck is Cole, come and try to muscle me, the stupid motherfucker. He's lucky that it's now. Years ago, I wish he would have did that. Lee Cole would have got a good example of what the mafia really is. Bro, I would have invited him right into Tally's. Come on in, Lee. Come on in and sit down. And my guys would have just smiled and said, all right, Sammy, I'm going to get the bag. You all good there. He ain't going out of Tally's no more. But that's the old days, and this is the new days. He got a little slap.
Okay, so when you hear Sammy there, does that sound like Sammy has any remorse or change or cares about anything except Sammy Gravano, and that he would still kill a person?
Yeah, of course he would still kill a person. So yeah, that's 100%.
Okay, I'm going to get to and I just wanted people to see that, because what Mikey's saying is Sammy's changed in history, but he has not changed. The difference between Mikey Scars and Sammy Gravano is one has remorse, the other has no remorse.
Right.
Whether you like Mikey because he's an informant, that's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not going to lose no sleep over it.
No.
But he loses sleep over the friends that he lost in the life because of informing. Sammy doesn't even care about the friends he killed. You never hear about Mikey Scars killing his friends.
No.
Sammy killed his friends.
Right.
And now you say something on the microphone and you just ruined the relationship, and it happens so much. Everybody got along, but if there was no such thing as a live chat, this whole genre would be interconnected. We'd be friendly. We'd be doing things together. The problem is that chat. You got these people who just go around, they lie, they make up stuff, but off the screen, I think everybody. Who did I miss? OC Shorts.
Let's wait. Hold on.
OC Shorts.
Let me ask you a question. You could take the fifth.
Okay.
Now you talk about your off YouTube interaction with Angel. Do you think she likes me a little bit? You don't have to answer.
No, I'm going to answer, because you know what? Something about Angel, it's twofold. This is my, and I really like Angel. Even when she gets mad at me, I do like. I was telling Jeff Nadu on the phone that, I would never, even when she's mad, I never disrespect her. I never say anything publicly bad about her. I always call her Miss Gotti, and she'll say, "Stop calling me Miss Gotti, call me Angel." But you know what? I think about Angel. This is my assessment. I could be wrong. Angel is a fierce fighter for her family, but she has this super, in my opinion, gentle heart. And I think sometimes she feels at war with both of them. My thoughts, I never asked her this, but my thoughts would be, because I heard her say after that one show we did, and the way I felt bad for Michael after I watched the show, I heard her say it publicly. So I think she wars. I hope she doesn't get mad. Angel, I love you. I hope she doesn't get mad. But I think she wars with herself internally, like because of the cooperation and the love of her family, the love of her brother. And I think she has
Do you think that RJ could say it any better than that?
I agree with that. I mean, just from what I know about everyone involved in this, these players, yeah, I agree with him.
How friendly am I, that you know for a fact, how friendly am I with Angel Gotti?
No, I would say of all the content creators, you're more friendly with her than anyone else.
We talk all the time.
All the
And
time.
we talk like friends. We talk like a couple. As RJ said, Angel goes around feeding and collecting cats and dogs. I can picture that. She's in her slippers and she's in a robe and she's walking down the street looking to feed that stray cat. But they come to her house.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
but
just
no,
find
I
it
mean
funny.
you have a friendship. I mean it goes beyond that's why the Patreon, we partner with her on that because there's a level of trust, there's a level of friendship, and that's important for Angel if you're going to do these things, and she's a loyal person. That's the thing about Angel, and that's usually when she gets upset with someone, it's because of some sort of act of disloyalty.
And would you, okay? And so the one thing I do know is what RJ said is Angel and I might have an argument every day for 2 weeks straight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just personalities people have, and it has to do with loyalty to when you're on here and you hear people attacking your family every day. And I said this once before, even if they are in the news, even if they're public figures, they're still your family. That doesn't change the fact of your family.
Yeah, and I would do that. Think about just the viewers, your wife, your father, your daughter, your son. What are you going to do if they were attacked over and over and over? Are you going to sit back, or do you feel like you need to defend them, especially if they're no longer no longer with us?
Okay, I'm gonna play a little bit of this, and we're gonna be
the
done with
internal struggle between the two. But I think Angel's kind of one of those people that she wants to love everybody. That's how I think that's my assessment of her.
Who's giving her father more credibility than us?
God, another N-word. Hang on, let me get this off. Now I'll let you finish this. God.
And that's what bothers me, though. Twice while he was doing this show, some horrible human being put the N-word in the chat.
Mm.
I mean, and that makes you realize how ugly and how vicious YouTube can be when you got someone that is willing to do that.
Yeah. Well, and then that's the truth, and also just people behind the screen, what they'll do. It's just they don't care. So
the funny thing is, they put them in, and they put each
anything from her family. I'm just telling the truth.
But you know what? She does say that publicly. I've heard her say many times, Mikey is telling the truth. She says that all the time. But it's again, publicly, the public and the personal and the private, they're very different. I don't know what her private opinions are. I don't know. And even if I did know, I wouldn't share them because it's private. But I could tell you this. From what I hear, she walks around the neighborhood, she feeds stray cats and dogs, and she Like, you know, I'm an animal rights guy. I'm a big animal lover. For everything you hear about, I mean, every time I've talked to her, she is the nicest person. I've heard other stories and people talk about publicly that she'll send money, food to people on holidays that don't have anything. So, you know, it's just, so I think privately, most people are kind of gentle people. This thing here is an ego activator. This here will bring out the slime inside of a person. See, I would never give someone that. That's
Let me ask you a question, James. Do you agree with what RJ said, where people in the chat are the ones that really control the people doing the live shows?
Well, it depends. You know, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues that I see with some shows is I feel like you have to have moderators, and you have some that won't do it. But the thing is that how many times do we? I mean, yeah, I don't know. It depends. I mean, it doesn't impact what you're going to say. Obviously, I think that's why, you know, honestly, it's better. You know, we don't do a lot of lives, and part of it is I think we're more effective with our message when we don't.
Yes,
But
yeah.
you know,
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. I'm going to talk about it as an experienced person doing this 2 years. RJ is absolutely right. 90% of the crap started on here is started from within the chat.
yeah, it did.
Because
That part's true. Yeah.
you have people on here that are content creators, and they do not understand over and over again. They'll have someone come in the chat, and there's one guy in the chat that I'm not going to mention his name, but he attacks me a lot. Not so much anymore. But I used to get furious because he'd be reading something somebody said in the chat. Lee said this about you. Lee said that. Like, I never said nothing like that. You know, and this is why I stopped doing so many lives, James.
What happened the other day? What happened the other day? So we get a couple of people on, right? And then all of a sudden, one of the two guys does his own show. And how many people in the chat were saying, "Oh, well, this guy's talking about you, Lee, now"?
Oh, right after you left the show, he put up but this is where RJ's right. If I didn't get involved in that, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, but I felt like I had to, but maybe I'm going to reconsider those things from now on.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what makes me a little different. I will never let someone like that say that name to me, and now I'm gonna make myself look crazy on here. I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm never going to let myself come down. I every show we make, I always say, I ask myself three things: can my father, can my mother, can my daughter watch it?
Right.
And if my father would watch me on here and say, "What kind of son did I raise?" My mother, what is that? If my daughter hadn't looked at me acting like an animal, I would say to myself, I'd be very ashamed if my daughter hadn't hide my show from her friends. I'd be very ashamed of that.
That's right. Who else we got?
So that's it.
Okay, we'd like to thank RJ and Mike.
Yeah.
Letting us use their material.
Yeah.
We'll put your link down here, and we'll probably put it also in the description of the show. And we do appreciate it. And so give us out of that, what we played there, give us your overall opinion about what you've seen.
No, I mean, I think it was a good show. I mean, explain why he did what he did. Talking about Mikey, why he does go after Sammy, but doesn't go after other people. But, you know, what I thought was fascinating is what RJ was just talking about, you know, the content creators and how, you know, how people become animals on here just from, you know, from what they're experiencing and seeing in the chat and all that. So, you know, it's really about trying to do a show your own way. You know, don't get involved in all the drama. You know, just, you know, make sure to, you know, what's most important. And I think we do a good job of that, is that you don't let anyone get between your partnerships.
You do a good job of that, not me. My problem.
Well, you defend me. And
No,
you
no, I'm
know,
not defending you. I'm talking about sometimes I can't stay out of things, and
oh yeah.
the weakness that I came when I came in here in the almost 3 years now. When I came in here, it was different because everybody was fighting with each other viciously, and it's growing. And then then right after Danny left here, I decided that lives weren't the thing for us anymore.
Right.
And then you became my partner, my official partner, my business partner.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh, as you have brought a stability to this show that it needed.
Thank you.
And that's what it comes down to. I mean, I have a partner, and I like having a partner. Some people say I like to work alone, whatever floats your boat. But I have a partner, and I like because we go back and forth. And you have your strengths, I have my strengths, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, people. I'm gonna let me go over this stuff real quick, just so everybody knows what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I have one thing to ask you though before we close.
Yes.
So you notice that Sammy skipped a week on his live, and so what's your opinion now that he went and got plastic surgery? He said he got a nip and tuck on his face, so he's saying that he needs to do plastic surgery so that he can. He's trying to get into Hollywood and do that type of stuff. So, do you have an opinion on that?
Yes, maybe that he can have happen to him what happened to Joan Rivers on her last plastic surgery.
Yeah.
When you're that age and you keep getting plastic surgery, every time they put you down with anesthesia, you're taking a chance.
You are, and I just don't understand that. I mean, he already looks like an alien. He doesn't even look natural as it is, and so he's going to do more plastic surgery. I just don't understand that.
He's trying to act like it's his first time.
Well, age gracefully.
If you're a man and you get plastic surgeries, I can understand you say you want to get. See, I got a goblet here because I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
So
right.
So I would love to get that tucked up,
Mm-hmm.
or but that's about it. I would not, how many beautiful women have we seen destroy themselves in Hollywood because you got your Meg Ryans and people like that.
It's just
beautiful women that would age beautifully.
Beautiful, and they don't need to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm
just wanted to get your thought on that.
People, if you want to go over to right here, this is the wrestling channel, and it's going to be underneath here. And we just did a review on the movie Iron Claw. Go check it out. Sub if you haven't subbed, please. And also, you can also join Angel Gotti and myself and James and Marla Egger, and for the Patreon page, and it's right there. You can join Angel Gotti. It's called My Father's Daughter. There'll be a link underneath here. And I'll give you an example. Today, we're going to put up lots of Christmas stuff that Angel Gotti did that nobody else is going to see. Gotti family stuff. Tons of footage.
Beautiful stuff. Real nice stuff, too.
And to get an idea, people say, oh, and then she has another one with John Gotti Jr. showing up. And that's really interesting. Some people love that. The majority of Angel's people in Patreon are women.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Besides that, that's all I have to say. Anything else, James?
No, that's it. I enjoyed doing this show.
Okay, everybody take care, and we will be seeing you soon.
Yep, thanks.